Axl. Ladies and gentlemen,
It's August 2002. In 7 years after the implosion of the world's most dangerous band, the reclusive Axl Rose finally emerges with Guns N' Roses at the MTV Video Music Awards. The band's name was familiar, but the faces were not.
A lot of people think it's almost sacrilege, you know, to do it that way, but he doesn't give up.
Axl's hired guns bore no resemblance to the rock and roll outlaws that had enraged parents and enraptured fans in the 1980s. Their menacing sound fueled by lies of extreme decadence and danger.
Me and Duff were drinking at least a half gallon of vodka or Jack Daniels a day, just trying to sort of keep ourselves, you know, like on an even keel.
They lived it. And that's why, you know, they were one notch above everybody else. They were the real deal.
But Guns would ultimately choke on their own excess.
You were young and your heart was an open book.
Less than a decade after shocking the rock world with their seminal debut, Appetite for Destruction, drugs, booze, and runaway egos tore the band apart.
Everything was falling apart. Everything was wrong that was going on there. I mean, it was trouble after trouble after trouble, you know, it didn't stop.
You didn't know from 1 minute if it was going to end because of a drug overdose, because of a riot, because of it just imploding. But at the same time, you didn't know if that same day you were going to see the greatest musical performance of all time.
Guns N' Roses' rebellious roots were planted on the grimy streets of Hollywood in 1982. When two local misfits named Steven Adler and Saul Hudson, a.k.a. Slash, began amping up their hard rock dreams.
Steven started playing drums and I started playing guitar, and we started a band. And that's where Guns starts for me.
In late '84, the struggling musicians checked out a band called Hollywood Rose at an L.A. gig. The group was fronted by Jeffrey Isabel and Bill Bailey, Indiana transplants who'd renamed themselves Izzy Stradlin and W. Axl Rose. To Slash and Steven, Axl's hypnotic performance was nothing short of magic.
After the show, I introduced Axl to Slash, and who knew that that was like history in the making, but that was the first time Slash met Axl.
I said to Slash, if we get that singer and that guitar player, we'll have a kick-ass band.
By March of '85, Steven and Slash had joined forces with Axl Rose and Izzy Stradlin. That same month, bassist Michael Duff McKagan cemented the lineup. They called themselves Guns N' Roses.
We went through so many different people, and this ended up being the people that we most believed in. We're like a family. We believe in each other.
We were a gang. That's how we thought of ourselves. We play rock and roll music to kick your ass.
Guns were finally cocked and loaded. And their combustible on-stage chemistry quickly offered a dangerous alternative to make-up metal groups like Cinderella and Poison.
All these other bands, you know, they had all these spandex and makeup and crap. And we didn't. We just went out there and played rock and roll.
They looked like outlaws, that was number one. The music was, to me, like nothing I had ever heard.
We just didn't really give a about anything else going on around us. We just had this edge, this sort of unpredictable, scary thing about what it was that we did, and there was no holds barred.
And from the beginning, Guns' hunger for success was matched only by their appetite for excess.
quite often it was a 24-hour day party. Tupperwares full of cocaine. Literally Tupperwares. Everybody was completely strung out and using ecstasy.
Nobody drank as much as Slash, and nobody passed out as much as Slash.
We were just following in the footsteps of all the guys that we grew up, were our heroes growing up. And then we just took it that one step further.